Yeah, sure, maybe you can save 15% by switching your car insurance, but wouldn't you rather save 20%? And for a limited time, you can when you use promo code BRadio at babylonb.com/plans. Get full-length ad-free podcasts, join the community of like-minded, mostly funny people on the headline forum, and best of all, save 20%. babylonb.com/plans and promo code BRadio. It's way more fun than car insurance.
Factually inaccurate.
Morally correct. This is Babylon B Radio. A top story. After a judge ruled Trump liable in the sexual abuse and defamation case brought by E. Jean Carroll, the former president responded by announcing he would pay the $5 million judgment using his collectible NFT trading cards.
These NFTs, also known as non-fungible token trading cards, which are beautiful and one-of-a-kind collector's items, the likes of which the world has never seen, will be more than enough to cover the $5 million. I should know this money anyway because I never did anything wrong, and this is a phony witch hunt. I'll tell you what's not phony, though. These NFT trading cards, they're 100% real and authentic.
Sources say Carroll's been offered a Trump cowboy, Trump superhero, and a special edition limited-run picture of Trump wrestling a snake with Nancy Pelosi's face. Trump has appraised the collection is worth well over $5 million.
These are worth more than the money I owe, but I'm giving them anyways to E. Jean Carroll, who I've never met, out of the goodness of my heart. She knows this is a witch hunt. Witch hunt!
Trump also offered to pay his legal team in NFTs. Representative George Santos has been taken into custody on federal money laundering, theft, and fraud charges. Americans are still on edge, however, as 534 dangerous felons in Congress still remain at large.
It's unsettling,
said local Kathy Mabel upon hearing the news.
To think that many thieves, rapists, and degenerate murderers are still walking free in Washington, D.C. and throughout the country makes it difficult to sleep at night. Who will protect us?
Sources warn the unarrested reprobate politicians are surrounded by well-armed security details and have unmatched power to pass laws and destroy the lives of American citizens at will. Citizens are being warned to be on their guard as one of these creeps could attack another unsuspecting victim at any moment. At airtime, Americans grew even more worried upon learning that there are thousands more dangerous villains still on the loose in the FBI, CIA, DOJ, DHS, and DOD. Amid lawlessness, human tragedy, and 750,000 people preparing to rush the southern border, President Biden talked to the press and assured the American people that someone in his administration is probably going to do something about it.
So folks, stop your worrying. I'm pretty sure somebody somewhere on my staff is looking into this. Who's that lady I made borders are? Camel Hairs? Is that her name? Yeah, maybe her. I don't know. They told me to say everything was fine. I'm sure at least one person on my staff is totally on top of this. Everything's fine, folks. Fine as frog hair. Hey, they said I could have ice cream if I said that. Where's my ice cream?
Reporters reached out to VP Kamala Harris for elaboration, but she responded by laughing for 5 minutes straight and hanging up the phone. Other members of the president's cabinet were unavailable for comment. At airtime, sources confirmed a guy named Steve had been assigned to secure the border before Title 42 sunsets, but no one could find him.
Steve.
U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas has been seen heading to the southern border to fire a starter's pistol the moment Title 42 expires. Mayorkas, responsible for securing the American homeland from varying threats, has been under fire recently for delaying the construction of a giant conveyor belt to allow even more illegal immigrants to cross the border per day. The secretary was seen practicing his multilingual Welcome to America speech as he watched Border Patrol agents roll out a 10-mile-wide red carpet for illegal border crossers. Meanwhile, Texas Governor Greg Abbott had been seen at the Texas-Mexico border preparing to distribute 1 million free bus tickets to New York City.
New York City!
In the most recent instance of his seemingly endless series of gaffes, President Joe Biden was left red-faced after he inadvertently signed an actual human being named Bill rather than a piece of legislation. This latest embarrassing incident occurred when the president was scheduled for another routine round of legislative signatures when one of his aides told him,
"Just go to your office and I'll be right there. You need to sign a bill."
Biden reportedly shuffled off to the Oval Office, where he crossed paths with a special VIP tour of the White House.
So, where's Bill?
After the group looked around at each other for a moment, one of the men stepped forward and identified himself as Bill. Biden then quickly grabbed a Sharpie and signed the man's forehead.
Yeah, I didn't expect to meet the president on this trip, much less get his autograph on my face,
said Bill Kelly after the tour was completed.
I guess I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, with the wrong name. I didn't even vote for the guy.
When asked about the mistake, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre brushed it off as intentional.
The president is always looking for opportunities to interact with the American people. Having his forehead signed was likely the highlight of that man's life, and it makes his forehead a priceless souvenir.
At airtime, Mr. Kelly was still trying desperately to wash Biden's signature off his forehead. Amid incessant fears that Don Lemon may somehow find a way to return to his post at CNN, leadership at the satirical news organization took an unprecedented measure and fired him for a second time, just to make sure. Yeah, it may seem silly, but we had to make sure there was no possible way for this guy to come back. Now, this morning, we invited him back to our world headquarters, sat him down in front of HR, and fired him a second time. We must take every precaution. We'll also consider a third firing if we deem it necessary. Sources say they'd witnessed the former morning talk show host lurking around the building after hours, having conversations with employees at the front entrance, and even berating the looks of middle-aged women in the lobby. Several sightings had fueled fears that Lemon wasn't actually gone for good. To drive the point home after the firing, Lemon was even given another box of office supplies to carry out as he was escorted by security. At airtime, CNN had gone ahead and fired him a third time, just in case. Authorities have been dispatched to a local residence after disturbing reports that a set of parents who are clearly deranged psychopaths lit a chocolate cake on fire and then gave it to an innocent child.
What kind of sick individual does something like that?
Said one onlooker, probably.
That kid could get hurt.
Eyewitnesses report the cake, which was dangerously blanketed in red-hot fiery sticks protruding dangerously from its surface, was placed within inches of the boy's face as the mentally disturbed parents turned off the lights and sang a song. Reports then say that 6-year-old Ethan Sanders stared at the glowing flames in front of him for a few seconds and appeared to be leaning in to blow out the candles before horrified bystanders intervened.
That kid is lucky we were there to blow out those candles for him.
Said one unnamed bystander, according to anonymous
I
sources.
can only imagine what may have happened if I hadn't intervened. Horrific.
Ethan's father, Greg, didn't understand what all the fuss was about. It's his birthday! Come on, people! The disturbed individual reportedly proclaimed before being dragged away by authorities. What's the big deal? Hey, where are you taking me? Authorities were called to the house once again after it was discovered that the child had been given a toy bow and arrows by a lunatic uncle as a birthday gift. Local 1-year-old Riker Thomas has come under fire after appearing in blackface at his first birthday party.
We didn't raise him like this.
Said Riker's mother as she furiously wiped his face.
No amount of chocolate cake makes blackface okay.
The birthday party had reportedly started off innocuously, with not even neighbors suspecting the birthday boy's deep-seated racism.
He seemed like such a nice baby. One moment we're all singing happy birthday, and the next there's Riker in blackface. And he was smiling. I've never witnessed such open racism in all my life. You just never know what's in a man's or a baby's true heart.
Pictures of the incident began circulating quickly, leading to calls for Riker to be banned from his preschool's Mother's Day Out program.
Hate has no home at the school for little people. These infants have to know this is not okay. If we just allow a kid to go in blackface one day and then come to school the next, what kind of message does that send to the other babies?
Riker later issued a one-word response to questions about the incident.
More!
A local Little League baseball game was brought to a halt after confusion arose over who the crowd was cheering. Young Jaden Weirs was unsure whether the fans in the bleachers were in fact cheering for him or for his teammates, Aiden, Braden, or Caden. As the fans were shouting encouraging comments, Aiden Johnson, who was playing second base, thought for a moment that the cheers were for him. Likewise, Braden Paget in left field was initially emboldened by the vocal fan support. At third base, Caden Jenkins thought for sure the cheers were for him until he realized his own father was in fact cheering for Jaden.
Yeah, we all play sports together, so it gets confusing.
Said one parent.
During basketball season last fall, we told parents they needed to start shouting last names to help us differentiate. If this continues to be an issue, we'll, I don't know, have to write our kids' names on signs instead of cheering.
At airtime, the boys had come to a mutual agreement to all feel encouraged by any cheering that rhymes with their names, including their unathletic friend, Hayden Gretz, who has never made it off the bench. History was made today as the guy weaving in and out of traffic ahead of you on the freeway was awarded an impressive first-place trophy after he arrived at the off-ramp a full 15 seconds before all the other cars he impatiently swerved around.
I feel really proud of this momentous achievement,
said Brent Larson after pulling up to the stoplight just a few seconds ahead of the other cars.
Those other losers were just going too slow. I gotta get off the freeway, man. Now look at me. I'm sitting here at the red light at the bottom of the ramp, and all those cars I passed are stuck staring at my taillights. Suckers!
Larson credited his overly aggressive driving and wanton disregard for roadway safety for his astounding ability to arrive at the light 1/4 of a minute ahead of other motorists. Drivers of the vehicles Larson passed seemed oblivious to his accomplishment.
Yeah, he doesn't seem very patient.
Said Ken Rawlings, who drove at a respectable speed and arrived at the same place only a few seconds later.
Hey, it makes him feel like he did something impressive. Yay for him, I guess.
Larson was undeterred by the lack of enthusiasm from his fellow drivers.
They're just jealous, man. They wish they were the ones who got here at the same off-ramp stoplight at virtually the same time after those sweet driving moves I put on display. Whatever, dude.
Larson arrived at 7-Eleven with plenty of time to spare so he could get his Flamin' Hot Cheetos and Monster Energy drink. B-Radio features officially curated content from the Babylon Bee, scripted, voiced, and produced by Austin Robertson. Additional voices in this episode from Bettina, Brandon, Jared, and Kristen. Subscribe to B-Radio on YouTube, Spotify, iHeart, or wherever you get your podcasts, and be among the first to hear brand new episodes.